Hello, how are you? How is everyone? My name is FRANCESFOX, and this is one of the few presentations I'm going to be giving in English, even though I would like to give more of them. The presentation today is about black magic. And every day that goes by, I am more in awe of what people who are into the world of black magic, what they know and what they're able to do. And from what it is that they do, I have learned more about the creation aspect of life than any other place. I've learned more about the human energy system than any other place. Black magicians know exactly how to take a human being down. When you learn that information, you understand what's important about humans and where we're vulnerable in the other dimensions, which is where the black magic is done. So let's get down to basics. Why do I know so much about it? Because in the 90s, when I went public with the fact that I know how to operate very nicely, thank you, in the other dimensions. I am a business person. I had I guess it's a mosquito. I had an office and I started to acquire a lot of clients, particularly Colombian men. And every one of them that I took care of, I assessed that they had black magic. And I would say 20 years ago, somebody did something and then your life went south. Or 8 years ago, maybe you felt like your life fell apart because somebody did something to basically destroy your life. And they would always say, wow, you're right. 20 years ago, my whole life fell apart. Everything, I lost my business. My father stopped speaking to me. All these other things happened. It was weird. I never thought to think it could have been somebody having done a curse or black magic. So somebody's interfering with this particular lecture, by the way. So you'll notice that I have to stop relatively frequently to pull myself back together again because I think I'm getting hit with the psychotronic weapons that are trying to push my consciousness out of my body so that I don't give a good lecture. And so those of you that are not normally followers will return. So I will struggle to stay in my body and to keep my hands in the Apana Mudra. When you do this, notice how your breath changes. Notice how you're more centered, you can see better. And then put the outside of your hands on top of your legs, and you will remain more stable, more grounded, more anchored. That should help me right now with whatever it is that's going on, whoever it is that does not want me to have any contact with the Anglo public. So, the place that I have learned the most about black magic, about healing, about the human energy system, about the other dimensions, has been taking care of my clients who have been hit with black magic. Initially, I assessed the fact that they had been hit and they agreed that things fell apart at that point in their life. And then I couldn't do anything about it because that was not my world. I did not know how to take care of it. I recommended different people. I tried working with Buddhist monks, but they think that if you have an issue with black magic, you need that. In a sense, they're right, because it basically is telling you there's something broken in you that black magic was able to land and to do something to you, to affect you. Then I worked with a Mexican shaman who was very good, but I realized that even though initially everything was wonderful when he removed curses, etc., within 3 or 4 months the client was basically in the same place. My conclusion was that he would remove the spirits that are attached to black magic and to curses. So the person was totally relieved, but the actual ritual, the actual magic, that person never got to the shaman. So it turned out that my skills in remote viewing make me perfect for being able to find the actual black magic. And because I'm so focused on having people heal, feel better, getting them out of the black hole, resolving the issues, I end up being very good at taking down the black magic. But I think there's a huge difference because I'm able to actually get to the black magic not just to the spirit that anchors it. So what is black magic? It really all has to do with intention. Intention creates reality. And I'm going to see if I still have the sketch here on this particular platform, because I'm going to show you something basically that shook my world. And it's so simple. It is so simple. Okay. On planet Earth, intention creates reality. What you're looking at there is basically this sketch, but with my printer running out of ink. So therefore, doesn't look so great. So you're looking at the figure of the man. Then you have these mind streams that extend all the way down to the ankles. So I am sketching this person, and I'm thinking, what on earth is that I'm sketching? It has nothing to do with black magic. I'm just sketching this person to see why she's not feeling so well. Well, I did not know what this was. So I went to bed with a question mark, which my system does not like question marks. I mean, I'm supposed to be able to get the answer to anything, and I didn't have an answer. But the next morning I woke up and I called this person and I said, listen, was your mother constantly harassing you when you were very young about men and sex and your private parts and staying away from men and making sure they didn't take advantage of you? And she said, oh my God, yes, she was unbelievable, so focused on me never having sex. This is what the person said, the one that you're seeing sketched here. So I said to her, listen, you're really powerful, because do you know what you did? She said, I have no idea what that is. What did I do? I said, you created a mental chastity belt. Listening? Listening, guys? She created a chastity belt. Those are her mind streams reaching around from the second chakra. I didn't tell you guys that. From the second chakra, which is the sexual sacral energy center. From there, the strings of the mind, the ones that my group, the Mantrist movement, works on, that is based on my discoveries of the human mind and the strings and whatever. She constructed a mental chastity belt. Those are her mind streams going from her second sexual chakra to her ankles and hanging on to her ankles. She created an energetic chastity belt. That's magic. We all create magic all day long without being aware of it. Most of the magic we create is unconscious. So I'm going to tell you another story, and I'm coming in at the thing with black magic, from a very different angle, but that's because I can see it from a different angle, which is much shorter. And I want you to get this information in a very efficient way. We have an incredible story, which you've seen several times since you were a child, of a mother seeing her child trapped beneath the wheels of a car. And that overweight older woman is able to lift up the car and pull out a kid. That's magic. So you go, yeah, but that's not really, that's white magic. That's intention. And her intention was something that we're all in agreement with, which is her saving her child. But it's still magic, because her body cannot do that, nor can her body and 5 other bodies lift up that car and pull the kid out. That is going against the laws of the physical dimension. And yet, there's not a single one of you that's going to question that happened, or say, oh, they fixed that photograph. That's not accurate. None of you is going to say that, because we've seen this too many times. If it's not a car on the kid's body, it's a helicopter in a war zone, and the other soldiers able to pull it up to be able to get his comrade out. millions of examples of that, of how a human being all of a sudden accesses what is their potential. What, and let's, the word potential, let's throw it out. Their superhuman powers, they access them because they are totally, fully intended. They are not blocked on their intentions. That's their kid that can die. That's their brother in arms that can die. And in the case of my friend, oh my God, some man could get to her sexually, and then, of course, the whole world ends, according to the mother. It all has to do with magic, all of it. So when you can get that figured out, then it becomes very exciting. Okay, so you want to learn magic. Of course, you should want to learn magic. Black magic, in the first place, most people cannot learn the type of black magic that we run into. Those are people that are specialized and they're trained and etc. But so what's the difference? Bottom line, there's no difference. It's intention, unblocked intention. In terms of the black magicians, they do rituals. And when I remove black magic, I don't look at the rituals. I don't, I do not like rituals. I do not like rituals. Doesn't matter who does them. I must have some experiences when I was young that were not great. I don't like them. So when I remote view, I don't remote view generally the ritual. I will get some information, and that's always very helpful for understanding how things are done. But we go back again to the whole thing, which is a very different way of looking at black magic. You want something done, you want something to happen. You don't necessarily have to go look for a black magician, a witch, a shaman. You need to get unblocked in your intentions, and it will happen. Anyway, the book that we're putting out in a couple of weeks explains all of that. And it all has to do with focus, 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 focus. My friend who built her chastity belt, totally focused. For years, her mother had her terrorized. And fear is really good for pushing people to access their potential, to access their superpowers. The fear of the mother of her child under the car, the fear of the guy with the helicopter. Okay, so now let's go to other more mundane, less conceptual review of what black magic is in terms of what it is that I see. What I tell everybody who follows me, and I follow this myself, if you're mixed with certain types of societies, there's going to be a lot more black magic. First place, if you live in a place that is like swampy, there's a lot of negative spirits, and they end up being able to sway a lot of people towards that way of life. Washington, D.C. is a swamp. And I think that that's an explanation for many things, that one day when we understand the importance of integrating shamanistic information that's centuries old, then we won't be quite so embarrassed or feel quite so dumb, such as how we're going to feel when everybody finds out that we built the capital of this country on a swamp. Don't do that. Do not do that. Because swamps are cemeteries for Mother Earth. Mother Earth takes spirits that are rolling around and throws them into swampy areas where the water is, the pH is off. You really don't want to be there, but apparently it's a place where spirits that have not gone to the light do well on their process of going to the light. So most religions, if not all of them, are very aware of the reality of curses and black magic. There's several references to ancestral curses in the Bible. What is an ancestral curse? An ancestral curse, I'm going to try and get a pen real quick and show you Right. An ancestral curse is a very particular type of curse. And you could probably identify a couple of families in this country that you could go, oh, they probably have that. So this is the person, okay? And then I sketch this, which is basically a hole. The person is standing in a hole. That is an ancestral curse. This was done several generations prior, and basically it's usually done in a small town in a natural setting. You don't see that many of these types of curses anymore. I'm not actually sure why it is, other than this type of a curse you got to pay a lot of money for, and the person who does it really has to know what they're doing. This is like really intense, and I think that type of person generally tends to live in nature, in a farm, next to a cave, very natural settings. You don't get them in the big cities. The energy is not conducive towards even doing this in a city. You would need the elements. So anyway, this is a type of curse that we are aware of throughout history. Okay, so then there's another type of black magic. See if I can get a pen. Nope, it's not going to help. And that is, every few years, the type of black magic that's done changes. I was discussing that yesterday. And it used to be that they would do little X's on your chakra system, okay, and that would curse you. But about 7 years ago, they stopped doing that. Apparently, things are fashionable, not just in fashion, but in terms of magic. So they started doing big X's on the chakras, particularly the heart chakra and the solar plexus, both of which send you to the doctor, and they say, we can't find anything. We know you feel bad, and we know your heart is jumping around a lot, but we can't find why it's doing that. And it's doing it because at a deeper level that the doctors can't really access, somebody has plugged up your energy system, and you're going to have a problem. So these are the two that are being used the most now. The one for the throat, for the heart chakra, and for the solar plexus, a very large X. Basically, these are conduits. Everything is a conduit, and they tie it up. There's other curses to where they tie your feet together at the ankles, and that is so that basically you'll calm down. You won't move ahead. Some people do it to their kids when their kids are too hyperactive, which is a total no-no, but I'm just sharing. Don't do that, because 20 years later, that person is an adult and their legs are not going to work well, because basically you tied up their feet at a time when they were developing, because your child was hyperactive and they would have thrown them out of school. Don't do that. At a level that most of us don't work at, and we don't really have a lot of information on, but I have been fortunate, and I'm going to say fortunate enough to be aware of. There, in the world of a big business, particularly having to do with natural resources in other countries, where I think it can kind of be a free-for-all who it is that's going to end up with those natural resources. They use a lot of black magic. Everything that they do to position themselves, to taking down their enemies, to finding out information, to controlling that other company by doing black magic on the employees or on the family, so that they're weak and so that you can take over more easily or negotiate a better deal. That is our daily bread in that world of multi-million dollars. If you are in that world and you are not aware of black magic, you're not going to make it. Or I hope that you have somebody who works for you that is not inhibited, is a person who follows information, not concepts and belief systems, because you're going to need help and protection. When I have worked with people that own or have the right to remove natural resources, because it gets really complicated. The biggest issue has been protection of everybody involved in the business, including the families, from black magic. So black magic is not just something that, like here in the United States, a lot of women are getting into Wicca. I don't actually know what they do with that, um, but people are still not aware the extent to which big business is literally totally controlled by black magic. Now today, and I don't think I'm going to be able to put it up for you, but today I found some documents that were basically a presentation of something that we did with a group of Buddhist monks, which was we ordered the Buddhist monks to, I'm going to see if I can find it, to build a sand mandala for Venezuela. And this was, I would say, 5 years ago. I'm not sure if this is going to come up, but we'll try. Nope. Custom files. Give me 1 second. No, it's not gonna do it. Okay. So we had the Buddhist monks come in, and these were the tantric monks from the monastery that is in Atlanta, the um, Drepon Monastery, which is the most famous of all of them, which is the one that the Dalai Lama is the most associated with in this country. So the mandala took a week to build from Monday through Friday. And at that time, Venezuela was cursed. And because of my personal history, I know too much about politics. I have zero respect for politics. Zero. Zero. Because I know too much about it. But whatever. So Venezuela was cursed, a country. And when I would say it to the Venezuelans, they would say, oh, yeah, we know. And I would go, you know, you need to take care of it. Because when a country is cursed, literally cursed, not bad luck, I'm talking black magic, I'm talking curse. When a country's cursed, all the citizens are cursed, including the ones that don't even live in that country or haven't lived in that country since they were born. They are cursed. It transfers to them because they are from that country. The 5th day of the mandala, I saw the curse release in the closing ceremony of the Buddhist monks. This is really important that people become aware of all of this, because we have the issue of Castro in Cuba, in the Caribbean, and nobody been able to take him down, even though supposedly there were 60 attempts on his life or whatever. But it has been said, and I don't know that personally. I do know the thing about Venezuela because I diagnosed it, but it turned out that everybody knew that already. Supposedly, Castro is into very deeply black magic, particularly having to do with protection. And supposedly, makes sense to me, he used that to his advantage and has been able to position himself. Because magic works. So, am I suggesting that governments get into this? No, they already are into it. But am I suggesting they get into it more? They should? No. What I'm suggesting, though, is a level playing field in terms of everybody knowing everything, everybody seeing everything. Because in my opinion, when that happens, the bad guys don't have such an easy time controlling us and making us miserable and destroying our lives and manipulating us, which is what magic is all about. Black magic is all about taking away people's free will. It's against the most important law on the planet, that human beings have free will. We can choose to be bad. We can choose to murder. We can choose whatever we want. That is our right. That is our free will. Black magic takes away your free will. And too many people think that that's okay because you, after all, want something good. But that doesn't work because we have all learned through personal experience that many times something that looked like it was going to be really good turned out that it wasn't so good. And something that looked like it was really bad turned out to be really good. So, this whole assessment of good and bad and using that as an excuse to control other people doesn't work. And I understand, I don't know if it's accurate, that that is really very heavily punished in terms of your stay on planet Earth when you use black magic and you control people against their will and secretly, etc. So, what is black magic? Black magic simply is focused intention that achieves a result having to do with your intention, but it is not revealed and it is going against someone else. You are doing something to stop someone, block someone, change their mind, make them sick, take away their wife or husband, whatever, and you're going against their free will. It's your intention. Now, with that intention can be backed up by paying somebody to do a ritual, paying a shaman, playing a black magician, a santero, however it is that it's done. Um, but it's like with ill intention. And then we go to what it is that I've been insisting that everybody that kind of follows the Mantrista movement understand. If somebody does black magic and you get hit with it and you get harmed, you are supposed to say, and that's what the monks would say, thank you to that person. Because basically what they did was they said, look, you got a problem. Because that black magic would have never happened if you didn't have a problem in that arena. So basically, the black magic, even though it's negative, basically, black magic is doing you a favor by pointing a finger and arrow at some part of you that has a portal that allows black magic and spirits and other things to come in. And that means that in that arena, you're not getting your intentions because you're broken in that arena. Let's say your father went bankrupt when you were between 14 and 17, which is critical time for formations having to do with prosperity. So somebody does some black magic on you. They want to take your business down. You're in your 40s. And they manage to make you almost go bankrupt. Well, how did that happen? Well, you're broken. Between 14 and 17, your parents went bankrupt. You had to move out of your home. Your parents talked about, yelled about, screamed about money all day long. You guys lost your position in society. You lost the company or you lost the security because of black magic. But it was at that point, because it was a happening in the family, you have a break in your aura and in your mind because you went through a trauma because of the financial ruin of your family. You never purified that trauma. It's still sitting there inside of you. When somebody sends you black magic, you have a portal that's open. You're already broken when it comes to business and money because you never cleared the break in you from when you were between 14 and 17 and your family went bankrupt. Basically, let's say you're 49 years old now when that happens, you have to say thank you to the person that did the black magic because you have another 30 years on you in which you could be running around with that portal open having to do with prosperity. And you didn't even know it until somebody threw some black magic on you, it landed, and then you're supposed to, which nobody but me is going to tell you until now, you're supposed to go, oh, I have a break. I have a portal. In that arena, I'm still broken. I need to take care of this. You get less angry at the person that does it, but you also learn something about yourself. And you also, it's like a self-diagnosis. It's an auto-diagnosis. This hit me. That person was able to take my boyfriend away, let's say. Well, I've got something there is not kosher. We weren't really that into each other, or Some woman enticed my father to leave when he was still married to my mother. That's a trauma, that's a break. So you're broken in faith having to do with relationships. So when they do the black magic, it hits you and it's able to come in and do damage because you have a portal that's open. It's very important that you wrap your head around all of these concepts, but from a different angle, like I'm giving you now. Because the whole thing with black and white and good and bad and nice people and enemies is totally out of control and it's going to get worse. And as I tell the people that I work with, when I do analysis of a photograph, people send me their photograph and I sketch it to, to see what it is that's not right, that the person go ahead and get that taken care of. Darn, I forgot where I was going with that one. No, I know where I'm going with that one. And I said this to a group yesterday. The black magic that I'm seeing today is increasingly violent. It's increasingly heavy. It's increasingly hateful. In other words, you want to take somebody down, you hit them in the head. Black magic, you hit them. You want to make sure that they never get up again. You hit them on the head, you tie them their ankles, you put X's all over the place, and you triple layer them. But you have to do all of that. Well, you're so far, you want to make sure you destroy that person. Today, the people that are ordering up these types of services, or either they are incredibly violent and angry and hateful, which we can see that in society, or they're kind of okay, but the magician, the santero they work with, is very frustrated. So you say, listen, I really want this person not to bother me anymore. Can you please eliminate them from my life? And you just want kind of like this invisible wall put up, which they know how to do. So, and then the person doesn't really think about you anymore. But they don't just do that. They take the person down. Oh, they're never going to bother you again. Well, what'd you do? No, you told me you don't want them to bother you. So I did that. Well, what did you do? First place, they're not going to tell you. The second place, they didn't just stop them from bothering you. They stopped them from doing anything ever again. They killed them energetically. So the people that are actually doing the black magic, I guess, are just as frustrated as what we see out in the streets or in the news. Everybody's hate level is off the charts. So that means that the black magic that is being done in terms of viciousness is off the charts. I'm not sure that I should say this, but I'm going to say it. Several years ago, there was a politician that was involved in something. This was not, it reached national news, but it wasn't a national issue. And I remember that the person could barely speak. I'm not talking about President Biden. The person could barely speak. This person was a politician. She had a position in a community that I knew was unfortunately too familiar with black magic. That particular politician what became nonverbal, could not string words together every time she got on camera. And people would say, "What's the matter with her?" Well, for somebody who's a specialist in that, I don't know what's the matter with her. What's the matter? The woman got hit by so much black magic because she was supporting something that was going against this particular community. And so the community made her pay with black magic. Barely, totally nonverbal. And some of you may remember her. I felt bad. I think it's important that everybody recognize everything having to do with black magic so that you're able to defend yourself. I don't think that it's fair that there's specialists and people in the know have this information, because that means that honestly, especially from here on out, you're not going to know what's going on half the time. The only way that you can take care of something and take care of it well is to know what is the problem. What's the generator? I have had through the years And this is just very generic what I'm giving you, but I think I'm trying to give perspective in this particular session. I've had through the years several, and it's always the same thing. It's a man, and he contacts me about his father, who is deathly ill. Um, and they don't know what's the matter, but the son suspects it might be black magic. So this is several times that this has happened in several years. I take care of a lot of people, but still. And this, the sons have always been correct. Somebody did an incredible, they call it a trabajo, which means a job, an incredible job on this person. The person was hit incredibly with horrible black magic that put them on their deathbed. They were going to die, taking away the black magic. Total reversal. The person is no longer on their deathbed, and all of a sudden they're getting better and they're able to go home from the hospital, etc. I'm talking several times, and it's always the son, which is interesting because it's usually the women that are the ones that are more knowledgeable. And I have taken care of 4 children. I've taken care of a lot of kids who have that issue, but I've taken care of 4 little kids who, when their mother was pregnant, somebody did black magic on the mother. And the problems from utero to when the child is born, etc. The doctors have never been able to get a grip on it. They don't know what's going on because they don't know what the original injury is. And it's not on the bodies that the doctor is taking care of. And on each of them, there was a total reversal. One of the children, uh, and I have permission to tell the story, is a 2-year-old girl. The white matter in her brain never developed. She was never able to stand up. Cute, cute, cute as a button. Oh my gosh, so cute. Um, and it was a phone client, which at that point I still spoke to some people on the phone. And when I did my sketch, they sent me a photograph of her. She was in a coma and she was in hospice, 2 years old. And when I checked, it was black magic when her mother was pregnant with her. So I had said to them, I don't know if I could make a difference, but this is what I see. And they paid for the services of having it removed. I would have removed it anyway. I removed the black magic, and within 20 minutes, the child woke up from the coma. You know, what was really interesting, because the child was in hospice at home, the medical profession refused to send a medical doctor to see her. They would only send nurses because she was obviously in her death process. Well, she wasn't in her death process anymore because what had thrown her into a death process was black magic. And it was removed. So the child woke up. It took like 3 months before they actually had a medical doctor come see her. And then they did the testing that they do supposedly of the gene therapy, and they send it to Washington. They never knew why first, they never knew why her white brain matter didn't develop. They didn't know why she went into coma. They didn't know why she got out of coma. And it was black magic. Now, being that the black magic has been around since the beginning of the planet, being that black magic is one of the 3 things that make people sick, I think it's time that everybody get educated on the subject. You can get sick because of repressed negative emotions. You can get sick because of radiation, and you can get sick because of black magic. Those are the 3 ways humans until now can get sick. And black magic has always been one of those ways since life started on the planet. Always. Every time modern archaeologists go to those sites of those ancient civilizations that obviously were dumber than we are, but oh my God, look at the stuff that they did, which of course is completely ridiculous, that attitude. They were all into magic. And then I'm going to finish with my story, and I don't have him here, he's downstairs. I have a wooden statue, and then we're finishing. I have a wooden statue that my sister found hanging on the wall of her home in foreclosure that she purchased. that wooden statue had a spirit attached to it. They say that's the reason why you shouldn't buy old furniture and old clothes, and that's accurate. Coincidentally, my sister's family had somebody who worked at the Museum of Science in Miami, and they took the statue to the museum. This was 30 years ago, and the curator said that the statue was from a burial site in Peru over 2,000 years old. He did not say anything about the spirit because, of course, he didn't see it, didn't know it, didn't believe in it. So I had the statue, and it included the spirit that had been killed 2,000 years ago. And attached to the statue and buried with the wealthy person that was buried, because that statue was part of a burial. So when you see people going to the pyramids and they're unlocking stuff and opening stuff and looking, there's all sorts of spirits there that were put there to stop people from going in there. And I'm not saying that they should stop going. I'm not saying that at all, at all. I just think that the people who go to touch things like that, honestly, really need to be more educated. And I think that it's very ridiculous for us to look at civilizations such as the Egyptians and think that we're more evolved than they are. And we see them preserving bodies. Oh my goodness, I wonder why they do that. Because they want to hang on to the spirit. So the spirit stays attached to the body, even though the body is not deader than dead, but certainly almost dead, half dead, fully dead, but still alive enough to where the spirit's going to stay attached. We are just totally disrespectful society today. This information is thousands of years old. It's been real since the day the planet started, and we're still wrestling with whether spirits exist. And then we have a whole batch of people, and I'm not laughing, but it's a little bit concerning on Twitter. These people, if their child says to them, there's a monster that comes out of the closet at night, they're going to tell their kid that that's not true and send them back to bed. Yeah, well, that was a spirit that came out of the closet at night, because they do hide in closets and they do wait till nighttime. So if you were going to tell your kid that's not true, you're not going to be able to handle the ET situation really well. Okay? Because they don't have a presence. Generally, they don't have a presence on the physical dimension, which means that they're spirit. So we need to get this situation of an integration of what black magic is about, what it can do, and what you can learn from it, and integrate it with the development of human superpowers. Because basically, those santeros and those shamans have superpowers. They can kill somebody. They can spend, I don't know how long it takes them, but let's say 2 hours in the shed in the woods or in a cave, and they can kill somebody who's in another country. Or they can go ahead and do black magic on an entire country. And I don't know, let's say Venezuela has 100 million people. I have no idea how much you have. 100 million people, of course. Don't you think that we should know this? And nothing that I've said here can anybody question and win. They can question what I'm saying, but they're not going to win. Because what I'm saying is totally compatible with what basically everybody who's really into this field knows. And I'm not talking into this field of black magic, I'm talking into the field of, let's use the word magic, which is superpowers, which is what everybody's looking for today. So I'm basically finished. I didn't quite know how I was going to address the issue with you today, but I'm actually kind of pleased with myself, because if all of you can leave here knowing that artificial intelligence is not such a great idea, because you can attach a spirit to it the same way the santeros attach a spirit to that statue, or they attach a spirit to a ritual they do to take you down so you lose your job. We want you to know these things. Sometimes you might sleep less, but you'll have less question marks in your life. We all need to have the same information, the same We should all have access to the same fountain of information. We should all have the same information. The playing field should be level, and we will get more quickly if we can all wrap our heads around it. The whole issue of, yes, human beings have superpowers. They've had them at different times in history. It's documented in the caves, it's documented in the pyramids, it's documented. We are people. We still have that within us. Some of the people that know a little bit more about that are the people into black magic, who are also in those caves, in those pyramids, and in those archaeological sites. Let's learn everything that we can about it so that we can get a grip on our reality and the goal, which is human superpowers, which is human potential. And then we decide, what is our intention? Is it going to be black magic, or is it going to be white magic? And it all has to do with your intentions. I'm Frances Fox. You know what? I was just going to say decorated remote viewer, and that is not true. Trained in remote viewing. I should be decorated for bringing this kind of information to the table, because most people don't. When they know this much, they generally are into it up to here, and they really don't want other people to have that information. Okay? Um, So do you have any questions? And this is English, so we're not putting anything in the chat in Spanish. We don't want to irritate anybody, and we want people to feel at home. Thank you, Zoe. So we are finished. And if you like it, please share. It will be on YouTube. It will be in the Spanish YouTube channel, but tomorrow it will be moved over to the English. Okay, and I appreciate you coming. Thank you, all of you. Bye.